I never thought a routine call could change the way I saw medicine. I've worked in emergency rooms for years. But ever since the pandemic, my hospital expanded our telemedicine services. Those online consultations that were supposed to be temporary, but somehow became part of our everyday life. At first, it was hard to get used to. Going from seeing patients face-to-face to speaking through a screen made me feel disconnected. Like part of the human bond had been lost somewhere in the digital noise. But over time, I realized something. Even through a camera, people still need the same thing to be heard. Most calls were simple: minor infections, eye styes, mild anxiety cases. Nothing out of the ordinary until that afternoon. It was almost 6 o'clock, my last call of the day. The name on the screen read Emily Carter, 42 years old. I clicked to answer. "Hi, Emily, this is Dr. Collins. How are you feeling today?" At first, everything seemed normal. Her hair was tied back, the camera was a bit tilted, and she wore a faint smile. She said she'd had a mild fever and sore throat for 2 days. Nothing serious, according to her. But there was something in her voice, a fatigue that didn't fit a simple cold. I asked her to keep talking and noticed her breathing got shorter with each sentence. "Emily, can you tell me if you're having any trouble breathing?" She hesitated. "Just a little, but it's probably anxiety. It happens when I get sick." She tried to downplay it, but something in her tone made me uneasy. Her skin looked pale, her lips slightly bluish. I activated the remote oxygen monitor connected to her smartwatch. When the result appeared, I frowned. 86%. "Far too low. Emily, listen to me. I don't think this is just anxiety. We need to send you an ambulance." She shook her head nervously. "No, please. I don't want to worry my kids. They're with my mom. I'll be fine, I promise." "No, Emily, you can't wait. I'm calling emergency services right now. Stay with me, okay?" As I spoke, I opened the emergency referral protocol and dialed the internal number. I could hear her breathing on the other side of the screen. Fast, uneven. "Doctor," she whispered, voice trembling. "Please don't leave me alone." Those words cut straight through me. "Stay with me until they arrive," she asked. And I did. I told her to sit down on the floor near the front door so the paramedics could reach her easily when they arrived. I kept her talking, slowly, gently, trying to keep her conscious. "Is anyone with you right now?" "No, my kids are at my mom's. Since my husband passed away, it's hard for me to ask for help." She paused to catch her breath. "He was a firefighter, you know? He used to tell me not to worry about the small stuff, that life always finds a way to sort things out." She tried to smile, but her voice trembled. "Sometimes I think I still hear him. At night, when the house gets quiet." There was a long silence, as if her words had settled in the space between us. I could hear the soft hum of her microphone, the faint creak of the couch as she tried to breathe. I kept talking to her, trying to distract her, anything to keep her awake. Inside, I was counting the seconds. Every minute without oxygen mattered. Her responses grew slower, her words more scattered. "Emily, I need you to tell me your address out loud." Yeah, sure," she gasped. "It's Maple Street number." Her voice broke. 35, I exhaled. I had the address confirmed. "Good, Emily, stay with me, okay? They're almost there." "Doctor, do you think I'll be okay?" That question hit me harder than I wanted to admit. I'd heard it hundreds of times, but this time, it felt different. There was fear in her tone and surrender, as if deep down, she already knew the answer. "Yes, Emily. They're going to take good care of you. Just breathe slowly. I can hear them arriving." And it was true. In the distance, I heard the sirens growing louder, bouncing off the walls of her empty house, bleeding through the camera feed. "Keep your camera on so they can see you when they come in," I told her. But just then, her breathing changed. A harsh, shallow sound like a sigh cut short. Her eyes lost focus and the image on my screen trembled. "Emily, can you hear me?" Nothing. Just the faint hiss of the microphone picking up my own voice echoing back. I saw her collapse to the side. Her hair covered part of the lens, and for a second everything went dark. "Emily! Emily, can you hear me?" I called her name again and again, as if my voice could reach through that screen, cut through the distance, pull her back from wherever she was going. Then came the sound of a door slamming open. Rushed voices. Paramedics burst into the frame seconds later. The camera was still on, shaking slightly as they lowered her to the floor. The microphone caught fragments of their commands. No pulse. Starting CPR. I just sat there staring at the screen, helpless. I could hear the compressions, the footsteps, the urgency in their voices. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then that sound every doctor knows. The beeping of a monitor trying to find a rhythm, a piercing tone that slices through the air and the heart. Then the feed cut out. The screen went black. All I could see was my own reflection staring back. No image, no sound. Just my ragged breathing and the hollow feeling of having been there without being able to do anything. Outside, the night was the same. But inside me, something had stopped, right along with her. Hours later, I was back in the ER. My shift had ended long ago, but I stayed out of habit. Sometimes the body leaves, but the mind stays trapped in the last story you couldn't finish. The hospital noise was the same as always. Footsteps, voices, monitors marking other people's lives. That background hum that turns almost melodic after years of hearing it. I sat at my workstation pretending to review paperwork, but really I was just waiting. I didn't know what for or who. Then I heard another ambulance arrive. The siren stopped abruptly outside, and the team rushed in through the sliding doors. Cold air rushed past me as they wheeled in a stretcher. A woman, intubated, unconscious. Her skin pale, her hands limp at her sides. The IV bag swaying with each step. And on the report, a name. Emily Carter. For a moment, I froze. The floor seemed to disappear beneath me. It was her. The patient from the video call. The resident beside me said something, but I couldn't process it. My mind kept repeating her name, Emily. She had gone into respiratory failure, a sudden aggressive pneumonia. The diagnosis was clear. The prognosis, uncertain. But she was alive. They admitted her to the ICU. I watched as she disappeared down the corridor, surrounded by tubes, lights, and rushing voices. And for the first time that night, I exhaled. Not completely, but enough to feel a flicker of hope. Days passed. Every morning, I checked her chart, even though she wasn't technically my patient. A part of me just needed to know. It was like silently walking beside her recovery. Little by little, her numbers improved. Oxygen levels first. Then heart rate, blood pressure, stability returning. A week later, I finally read the words I'd been waiting for. Extubated, conscious, stable. I decided to visit her. Not out of duty, but out of something deeper. When I entered her room, she was sitting by the window. The sunset light touched her face, and for a moment she looked like a different person. It took her a second to recognize me, then she smiled. "You're the doctor from the screen, aren't you?" I nodded, smiling back. "Yes, though I have to say it's much nicer seeing you without the pixels." She laughed softly. Her voice was weak, but alive, and that was enough. "Thank you for staying with me," she said. "I thought I was going to die alone." I didn't know what to say. A lump formed in my throat, the kind that medicine can't fix, so I just sat beside her. The monitor next to us beeped steadily, a rhythm of life. Each sound felt like proof that it had all been worth it. In that silence, I realized something. Sometimes saving a life isn't about procedures or medication. Sometimes it's about being there, even through a screen, not hanging up when the other person goes quiet, choosing to stay even when you can't touch. And that night, as I left her room, I knew something inside me had healed too. That call was supposed to be routine. Just another consultation among dozens. But it reminded me that behind every diagnosis, there's a story, a loss, a voice that just needs to be heard. Now, when I look at my list of teleconsultations, I don't see simple cases anymore, because I learned that even from a distance, a doctor can still be present. And sometimes, that's enough to make sure someone doesn't die alone. If this story touched your heart, let me know in the comments which moment moved you the most. Your support helps me keep sharing real stories that remind us of the power of empathy, even through a screen. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next story. Because every case has something to teach us, and every life is a story worth telling.